Hey everybody, I've had some requests for a more detailed walkthrough for the constraints activity. Over here in Canvas, it looks like this. Here is a link to, this is just the PDF that has like the information about the constraints, about what they do, what they are. And that guy's useful, especially for the bell work that I posted yesterday and today. There's a video lecture on OneDrive. It says I'll put it on YouTube. I'm sorry, I'll have to load that up today. And this is just a PDF of what PLTW has. And PLTW has a lot of information about how to do this in Fusion. Fusion looks a little different than Onshape does, and some of the symbols look different than Onshape does, and some of the verbiage and language looks a little different, sounds a little different than Onshape. And while it's pretty similar, there's an analogous thing in Onshape for nearly everything they tell you to do in Fusion. It might help to see it sort of come together in Onshape rather than just trying to parse it from this guy. So most of this activity, like I'm halfway through almost here, most of this top part is about how to play around with constraints. And I'm going to make a new sketch on the front plane. I'm just going to draw some lines, some polygon of some sort. I'll make a concave polygon. There we go. And that was just, I grabbed the line tool and clicked a bunch of places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a hexagon. You'll notice that over here in your sketch window, you can click the checkbox to show your constraints. And right here, when you do that, anything that it automatically applied shows up, and anything that you added later will also show up. It doesn't always, like every time if you X out of it or check out of it and go back into it, it'll automatically uncheck show constraints. Well, let's show constraints, see what we're working with. This guy here, you mouse over it, it'll tell you what it's attached to. This particular one is a coincident constraint. If you mouse over it, it tells you what it does. It says if you pick 2 points, they'll share the same location, or you can get lines, curves, and center endpoints, and it'll make them in the same location. So if you have a coincident constraint, it's really talking about the 2 endpoints of these 2 lines that match up right here. This one here is talking about the 2 endpoints that hit there, and so on and so forth. There's one down here that's a little different. It's a little horizontal line, and that's because when I put down that first line, like I put it down, I let it do this snap to horizontal, and you'll see it actually put a little box near my cursor that has that little line segment in it to show me that, hey, if I click this here, it will constrain it to be horizontal. And if I didn't want that to be horizontal, I can always go click my constraint and push backspace on my keyboard, and that'll delete it. And then I can move this around in any direction I want to, and it's no longer stuck horizontal. And delete it to get rid of it. So over here, anytime I move one of these guys, both of those endpoints of those lines must stay together. I can't take them apart if there's a coincident constraint on them. Now this guy here, since it was told to be horizontal, if I move one of these endpoints, it will keep that line horizontal. Okay? I can have an ugly drawing like this and make it work and look like I want it to just by adding some constraints and some dimensions. I don't have enough edges on this one to make the actual shape we're trying to work with, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this sketch and start again. To delete anything you don't want over here in your feature list, you can right click on it. There are a lot of options. You can change a name, you can go in and edit it, you can copy it and I guess paste it twice so you can have 2 copies of it. Lots of things you can do. I'm going to delete this one. So as we're coming down towards like where they're actually telling us what to do and what to make, like they've got a whole list of things to do. They want you to make a line along the x-axis and allow it to suggest a horizontal constraint. They want you to make a line with coincident here that's perpendicular. And if you move it upwards, it should make it perpendicular. And then you make a similar approach to that line. Just make a diagonal line. We're going to have a vertical constraint there. Make it perpendicular. And what else? Line 6, avoid any automatic constraint by placing it slightly not horizontal. And then you gotta complete the sketch. So let me make this thing. I'm gonna kind of make it kind of looks like a boat. It almost looks like a benchy. If you need a printout of this guy, I don't know. Oh, you know what? You might, if you have a printer at the house, you might be able to print like just this page of the PDF I have. So let's do a horizontal line on the x-axis. If I go like this, like it's not going to constrain it automatically to be perpendicular, but what it does do is automatically constrain it to be vertical. That's similar, but not exactly the same thing. I'm going to go over a little ways, make a diagonal, go straight up, over a little more. Oh, it wants us to not constrain that one yet. Okay. And 7, 8, 9, 10. So I'm going to try to avoid other automatic constraints. Ooh, look at that one. It makes it perpendicular to the other line. Okay, I'm going to avoid anything besides horizontal and vertical for now. There we go. And that has 10 edges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to show constraints. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these horizontal and vertical along here, because I want to use the information it tells me to use. That's okay, that one can stay. So it wants these to be perpendicular, perpendicular. Let's see what it tells me. So if I want these two lines to be perpendicular, I'm going to go up to my menu over here where all of these constraints are located. And if you remember from another video I did, if your window is skinnier, you're not going to have a whole row of them. You're just going to have one, and there's going to be a drop-down menu. And so you click your drop-down menu and you find perpendicular. If you've got a wider screen, it's just right there. And then you got to click the two line segments you want to be perpendicular to each other. And that'll enforce perpendicular. Alright. Third line that's perpendicular to the second. Alright, I'll enforce that one. Perpendicular. Alright, line 4, just diagonal. Line 5, perpendicular with line 3. So this guy and this guy, perpendicular. Then it wants to have line 7 parallel to line 5. That's these two across from each other here. Let's find the parallel. Here's an equal sign, and here's a parallel sign. Let's make these guys enforced parallel. Alright. Enforced perpendicular, line 8 to line 4. Okay, that's these two diagonal lines. That's really interesting because it doesn't have to be horizontal and vertical to be perpendicular. Before I do anything else, check out what happens when I move this around. Nothing. They stay the same angle they are right now. I have to hold some other things down before I can change the angles nicely, I guess. Alright, line 9 wants to enforce a parallel constraint with line 3. So 9 and 3 parallel. Got it? Parallel. Line 9, line 3. There we go. Line 10, connect the open endpoints. That's what I did. Okay. So I say usually double click on your sketch. This is Fusion, what Fusion does. So determine if the following restrictions are satisfied in the sketch. Are line 1 and line 9 always parallel? So 1 is this guy and this one's 9. If this is perpendicular to that guy and that's perpendicular to that guy, then these two have to be parallel. And if those two have to be parallel, then yes, they're always going to be parallel. Line 6 is parallel to the x-axis, despite revision of the orientation of anything else. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, that's not yet. 5 and 7 always the same length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, I didn't do that yet. We can fix that though. And the design requires line 3 and 8 are horizontally, so they move up and down together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not 8. Nope. So let's add some constraints so some of those things fix. Alright. Let's see, that's horizontal. That, I think, is supposed to be equal to that one and parallel to that one. So let's do that. Let's make this line equal and parallel to this one. Now here's parallel. Oof, that changed some things. And equal. Alright. Let me grab these lines and slide things over a bit so that it looks kind of like the shape that I'm looking for. Oh dear, why is this one so... Let's bring it in. There we go. Alright, what's next? Alright, yep. Don't know what this symbol means. I'll have to figure that one out. Don't remember what that one is. I have to look that up. You know, I can do that right here. Alright. Let me see what we've got over here. These guys were... Okay. These guys are equal. They're parallel. We gotta make this guy... I need to find out what the triangle means. You know what? The triangle's a midpoint. I bet triangle's midpoint. This guy right here, that's horizontal. So let's make the top guy horizontal. There we go. These two sides need to be equal. They're parallel. We need to make them equal. Okay. Let's see. Let's see, there's a list of constraints. Goodness, I don't want to watch a video. I just want like a picture. Hey, look at images. There we go. Yep, horizontal, vertical look like that. Coincident looks like that. Equal, parallel, perpendicular. Oh, so this T is perpendicular, not coincident in Fusion. I haven't seen Fusion since the summer when I took the course, so yeah. So the T I have here is coincident. The T they have in their picture means that it's perpendicular. So this guy and this guy are perpendicular. These two are perpendicular. Not sure what that's perpendicular. What is this thing? Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Collinear. Collinear is cool. We don't have collinear in Onshape. But we can fix that by making, like, collinear basically means, let me real quick sketch a line. Like this is pretend this is a part of a giant line. It goes both directions. If I have two line segments, let's say I make one right here along that line and another one over here along that line. Like, I could delete the original line. These guys would still fall on the same line. Like if I were to extend this guy, it would go through along this one as well. Collinear means they lie on the same line, like there's an invisible line going up, left, and down to the right in both directions forever. That's what a line is. It goes on forever, perfectly straight, same slope the whole way along, at least in Euclidean geometry. So making things collinear that are not horizontal and vertical, you can do this coincident thing. If you just click on the lines, it'll make them collinear. They don't necessarily have to touch each other, but no matter where I move this guy, they're on the same line now. So that's another way you can use the coincident constraint. Alright, let me get rid of these guys. Don't need them. Alright. So yeah, these two are collinear, which means what I've done with this, let's see, are these the same height? They're the same height because I thought I made them parallel. But I thought I had to make them also be horizontal. Oh well, it's okay, it works for now. If anything breaks later, I'll fix it later. Okay. This is equal, this is a midpoint, and that's a vertical line. I think that's everything here so far. Like I can finagle the rest of these parts to kind of make it look like, see, notice if I move it left and right, it spins, but this stays to be 90 degrees. Okay, so let me make it kind of even looking. Alright, that's kind of even looking. let's make this construction line down the middle just to see what happens. I'm gonna draw a line. Actually, I'm gonna put a point first. No, I'm gonna draw the line first. Alright, so if I draw a line, I gotta be careful. There's a lot of little constraints and bits to hit here. Let's make sure that it doesn't do anything except collinear to that line and collinear to this one. I'm going to put the midpoint constraint on this endpoint and this line here. And what that did, instead of moving that to the middle of the line that was there, it actually changed the size of the line. How cool is that? I wonder if I hit the line first and then hit the, let's undo, let's see if that works. If I hit the line first and then the point, will it move the point? Nope. That's okay. I'm going to make that a midpoint too. And then I'm going to constrain the verticalness of this guy. Oop. Almost everything looks symmetrical now. If I move this back and forth, the only thing that happens is, whoa, it doesn't keep those the same length. Oops. Yeah. But it looks like these guys are equidistant. Oh yeah, because that's got to be, that's a midpoint. Alright, let me move you in. Is there an equal constraint on these two? Let's find out. Not at this stage of the game. Alright, so we made this guy. I'm going to right click on this vertical line, and I can change it, by the way, to make it a construction line. So it shows up as a dotted line instead of as a regular line. And that also means that, like, if I put my mouse in the field here, it does not make a distinction between the left and right side. It has the whole thing. If I undo that construction line, then you can see it differentiates between the two. A construction line is not an object line. It won't be used except to align geometry, basically. All right, so it wanted you to make a construction line. That's what that was talking about. Then it says you want to make it midpoints, yep. And it says fix the midpoint to the origin right there. So that's what's happening here. Let's fix them together. So I could use the fix tool, or I could just like have nothing selected and grab that endpoint of that line and drag it until I see coincident. Ooh, that's kind of fancy. Let's move you together again. All right. Next it says we're going to draw a circle and have some constraints. We got to make a horizontal line, and that's a construction line, through the midpoint of this second line here. And its center has to be on a vertical line through the intersection of lines 3 and 4. So that's right there. It's got to be vertical to those two. So right now, let me make a midpoint over here when I make this line. Let me put a line on here. I'll make it horizontal because I want it to be horizontal. And let's constrain this point as a midpoint of this line. Beautiful. Grab your circle tool. As you go around, like, you'll notice I can drop straight down from that point if I want to. There it goes. And if I do this, if I hover over here, it might make it ooh, look, it'll make it tangent. Sometimes it'll make things like collinear automatically, but this one snaps to be tangent, so that's kind of nice. I don't know if it's going to do that for you, but that's kind of nice. So that already gets the vertical alignment and the tangentness to it. Cool. You can always apply the vertical constraint later, like if I, and the tangent too, if I had just done, if I just made a circle. Whatever. Alright, let's make this center point straight underneath this point. And let's make sure the edge of the circle, the circumference, touches this, is tangent to that. And before I do anything else, it's bothering me that this guy, ooh, hold on, let's undo that one, the last one I did. I'm going to right click and make this a construction line. There we go. Now it's not part of my geometry. Tangent, tangent. Okay. What's next? Oh, it says mirror the circle across the construction line. So when they say mirror, let's see if I can do the mirror. Here's the mirror tool right here. Mirror. Select a mirror line. Let's use a center construction line, and let's mirror this circle. And notice it did not mirror the vertical. I don't know why. I wish it would have. But since it didn't, we can just go ahead and stick that vertical. Ta-da! You can change the size of these circles. You'll notice some things you're changing and everything else changes and you don't know why. It's usually because of what the geometry does say and what it doesn't say. But it's okay, we can always fix it. So it says, hey, if you don't completely define your sketch, unexpected things can happen. Here's a figure that shows what could happen if you haven't fully constrained it and you start dragging pieces around. We've seen some things like this happen while I was working already. So is your sketch constrained? Nope. In Onshape, all the lines that are blue, they have a part of them that can be moved around still. Not just the constraint labels. But yeah, oh, look at this. I can do all kinds of crazy things. That looks like a critter with a hat. Okay. I'm not going to be able to unsee it. Oh, it's got little tiny ears. It's like a giant dinosaur or hippo or something. I'm having too much fun. It's too late at night. Let's put some dimensional constraints on. So, geometric constraints will fully define your sketch geometric relationships, and then you go ahead and say, I want this to be 10 inches, 5 inches, 12 inches. Right here, it wants us to use millimeters, it looks like. So we're going to use millimeters. And to do that easily, we can change the whole workspace units over here in this menu next to Onshape, the word Onshape. Let's change everything to millimeters. That way I don't have to type it out, hit mm. And also, after I've dimensioned it, I can still read that dimension. Now, the picture I put over here that has like our symbols from Onshape that you can see, I accidentally covered over right here the dimension of this line segment. It's 15 millimeters. Alright, let's see. Dimensions. Let's do the 20, 15, 45, 15, 100, and 5 millimeters. Open up my sketch, open up my dimension tool. This guy, oh, that's really close, 20. Notice now these, the two sidelines here, they've turned black. I can't drag them anywhere, they're stuck. I can move them up and down, like I could take the endpoints and put them up and down, but I can't move them any farther away from that center because I have the midpoint of this line stuck on this central line, and I said it's 20, so each of these has to be only 10 away on either side. It's stuck. That part's stuck. That's fully those two line segments are constrained left to right at least. The sketch is not fully constrained, but we're getting there. It says this guy here is going to be 15. Oh no, why did it get so tall? Oh, it's okay. We can fix that. This is 15. Oh no, what's happened? That's horrible. Let's make this 100 across. Oh no, it's horrible. It's okay. So far I've only touched a line segment and dimensioned that line segment, but you can also dimension between two features. So from the top to the bottom, should be 45. Let's see what happens. That fixed nearly everything. This guy is 5 millimeters. And then I'm gonna go ahead and like drag this. I can't drag it. Maybe if I delete this and then drag it up on top. No, why won't it do that? Huh. Okay. Why is it on the bottom? Let me get rid of this tangent constraint real quick and slide it up. And then I'll put the tangent back on again. It's not stupid if it works. Alright. Is the sketch fully constrained? At this point, yes. But it's not like I don't have dimensions on everything. I don't have constraints on everything. Feel free to play around and see. Like, I can't move. The only thing I can move is this endpoint of my construction line because it's a construction line. I don't care. I don't need it to be a certain dimension. But I can't change anything. And that's because of how I defined everything. We know certain things had to be perpendicular to each other, certain things had to be vertical, certain things had to be the same exact size. And that makes everything, like these are probably 40-degree angles to the vertical, which is nifty. Here, let's real quick check. If I do this way, it's going to be 135, yep. Cool beans. Let me delete that. Anyways, he's fully constrained. I think that's all it needs you to do. So now that I've walked through the entire thing, give it a try yourself. Don't just copy mine. And I think that's all. Yep. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.